Hello and welcome to this month's edition of KJ's Corner. I'm your host, Kyle John Fenton, but I don't go by that. I go by KJ. And with me, I have a friend of mine, actually, a legit friend, someone I know in person, not someone I've met on LinkedIn. This is Catie. She's actually part of the bowling league that I'm a part of. So if you see those Thursday tap posts that I make, she's bowling somewhere down in the league somewhere on a team called Whiskey Richard, which is gotta be some of the top 5 best bowling names I've ever heard. To that point, Catie, before we get into anything, how are you?
I'm doing good. We had the solar eclipse this week, so we had
did you watch that?
I did. It was super cool. Watched the NASA live stream and then here in Charlotte as much as we could see. But week's going good, busy. It's bowling night, so.
Yeah. So for context, right, bowling night's always Wednesdays, Wednesday night, 6:30. If you find yourself in Charlotte and you have nothing to do, go to 10 Park. I swear, like it's actually a great vibe. But I'm not gonna talk too much about bowling. This is a little bit of a professional podcast, even though, hey, I'm wearing a hat, so on and so forth, right? You are a corporate recruiter with Carolina Handling. So can you go into that a little bit? What Carolina Handling specializes in as a recruiter, and then what you do specifically, because recruiters have all shapes and forms. I'll let you go from there.
Absolutely. So as Carolina Handling, we essentially support customers that have a warehouse facility. Okay. So bread and butter is the sale and service of forklifts and material handling equipment. Okay. So I like to say, if you've clicked add to cart and you've had something delivered to your door, we may not be the person you purchased from, but our company helps to get that to your doorstep.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I actually didn't really know entirely what that was until you just said that. So thank you for me. Like, that's good to know.
Hey, absolutely. And then we also have an automation group. So we support customers with full warehouse automation solutions. So conveyors, robotics, de-stuff-its. We can do a full custom solution for the customer, whether it's a greenfield site, brownfield, kind of whatever it is. So super cool industry. I've been with the company about 3 years. And then what I do as a corporate recruiter, essentially, I see it as I help represent the brand as Carolina Handling and help people come into the organization. I mostly support our engineering group and internal support functions. So like accounting, finance, HR, IT, and then that automation, we call it intralogistic solutions.
Sure.
Has been kind of like my incubator baby that I've been working on for the last couple of years in growing that group. So I like to say I'm a professional matchmaker. I help people, help people connect to, like, we all have to work and we're here to make money. Like I'm a very transparent recruiter. We don't work for
same.
free.
Like, look, I get it. Like I've been following that since I was 21 years old. So I understand.
Hell yeah. Like it's, so want to help people connect with roles that they enjoy what they're doing every day. And I think that's one reason I love our company and what I get to do. I get to be myself. I get to be authentic, and I get to talk to people and get to know who they are, and then try to find opportunities within the organization that would line up with what they want to do. So it doesn't always work, but I do have a network of old recruiting friends that I can always connect folks to. So I like to say it may not work on this one, but let's chat in a couple of years and something could always be different. So.
Yeah, but I like that point that you just said, like chat in a couple of years, because I think that takes a level of like emotional intelligence that understands like, look, we're meeting in probably a professional capacity. If we have a good conversation, like, it's not like we're going to be friends, like maybe like we are, right? Like, but to that point, we're besties, like we know, but to that point, right? Like it's what you're describing is, hey, I had a good relationship with you during the time when we were trying to do something. It may come back around. If you're listening to this, that's what networking is, y'all. Networking is not connecting with someone and being like, hey, help me in this current moment. Networking is actually like getting to know what interests you share. So for us, it was very easy. We like bowling, and like that was something that brought us together. And then we realized, oh, we're both actually professionals in the corporate working world, and so on and so like that's what grows. Now it's like, oh yeah, if I ever find myself or find someone no shit, I shit you not, someone messaged me, and this is completely off the cuff, this was not planned. This guy messaged me, his name's Douglas Aird. And he was actually reaching out. He said, oh, I noticed you're involved with automation. I'm looking for input on man-machine integration. I didn't know that because I'm a software guy, right? But now I recognize, this is what I'm talking about. Now I can connect, be like, I just had a conversation with my friend Katie. She actually works in something like this. Why don't you have a chat with her? They're looking to kind of pilot something and show like, hey, we have some automation, but there could be something that could enhance Carolina handling. That's the type of connections that we're talking about. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Yeah.
And we're a systems integrator, to your point, to exactly what he's saying. Like, we integrate systems. We don't necessarily manufacture anything, but we integrate all those systems. So, I mean, you never know who you're going to meet. Anyway.
Right. And that's why I'm sitting here being like, oh my God, I just had this conversation yesterday. I can't help, and I don't really know, but now I do. So anyway,
maybe you can hinge to someone else that can.
To that point, this podcast is not about how do I become a corporate recruiter at what Carolina Handling does. This is more about getting into your mindset and your story. And I did give you the precursor a little bit that I would argue your success actually hinges on your previous experience and the fact that I would consider you probably the overachiever in high school and college, right? I think you would agree with that. So just to give you context, looking at her profile right now, because this is literally what I do during this podcast, is I looked and I saw, at UNCC. So a lot of people know UNC Chapel Hill, right? Right. Obviously, right. Everyone knows that. But UNC is actually a conglomerate of a bunch of schools in the Carolinas. You went to UNC Charlotte. You've been here for a while in Charlotte. But during that, you were chapter president at Delta Zeta. You were the chairman of the student activity fees. You were the Pan-Hellenic president. You were the building manager of student union, and you were the senior class president. So, like, what was school easy to you? Are you that type of person where, like, I mean, be honest with us, right? Like, let's start there before we go, because I just listed off 5 different organizations, which is more than I did. Like, I think I was an overachiever, starting an acapella group, being a mascot, being on the radio, right? Yeah, super cool stuff. But like,
we're gonna have to talk about that later.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it tonight for sure. Yeah. but like, I bring all that up to say I'm obviously stroking your ego, but like, those are a lot of very, very prominent things that give you like actual administrative type experience right out of the gate. So I think that's what made you successful. I think you agree, but go from there and like, what pushed you to get involved with those, and then just take me through your career to getting to this point, because I think we're gonna have a good discussion around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So high school, certainly overachiever. I start there because I think once I got to college, school did come naturally for me. It was very much, I was a business management major, like,
take the easy.
Like, I was an accounting major for a long time and failed cost.
Okay, so that's a little hard. That's a little harder. Okay, accounting, I'll give you some credit for that. The accounting classes, like, once you get 201, like, you really got to actually understand how to balance stuff. So I
have 3 classes left, and I could have an accounting degree.
Like, I get that. I'm the same thing with marketing. Yeah, I'm 2 classes away. Yeah.
And I think I wanted to be an auditor. I wanted to work for a Big 4. I thought like, I'll get to travel, do all this stuff. Numbers make sense to me.
Sure.
Then I joined the sorority, kind of fell in love with that. Leadership is always, I'm an eldest daughter. I'm the oldest sister. Like, kind of, my family always said, bossy. I'm like, yep, fine. I'm bossy. And so, once I got to college, just kind of but joined the sorority. Really enjoyed that. Enjoyed the people I worked with. I think the women that I was in the organization with, we helped build each other up. We wanted to be the best that we could be. Cool. And so was the sorority president, got to do some other stuff across campus. Ironically enough, the senior class president role, a buddy of mine was senior class president and graduated in December and said, hey, do you want to be senior class president? You get to talk at graduation. Your parents get the tickets. I had never been in SGA. And I was like,
sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
like,
make
whatever. Fine. You trust me, but just hand me what you need. There you go. Yeah.
It's game on. So that was a lot of fun, and working at the student union, I just kind of like immersed myself into the Charlotte culture at UNCC. And so once I graduated, thought I was like, I want to help people. Once I switched out of that accounting space into management, my mom was actually a recruiter in the 80s and 90s in Atlanta. Sure. And so she had always said, like, you'd be a great recruiter. You'd be a great recruiter. And, we hear what our moms say, and we're just
I heard I'd be great at sales, and I always rejected it. And now here I am freaking supporting sales functions. Like,
it's funny how it works out.
So I was told you're going to be good at this and following it, be like, you were right. I hated admitting when my parents were right. I hated that. But now as a parent, I'm like, well, I hope Mav listens to me.
They'll get to it eventually. Like, now when I talk to my mom, she's like, how was your day? Aren't you so happy what you do? I'm like,
eye rolls, dude. That's so
I'm
funny.
going to call you in 2 weeks. Chat later. So I was like, I'm going to go into HR. decided to go into HR. I thought that's how I could help people. I really enjoyed what I did in college and just, I think, found a niche of that, like networking. Sometimes folks are like, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, I just love talking to people. Yeah. I can talk to a rock. Like it's very just easy. So got into that HR role, worked about 80 hours a week for my first 3 years. Okay. Got a quick promotion, started managing people. And I burned out quick. Sure. So by like 25, I was like, it's not on my LinkedIn, but I did a little stint at Red Ventures.
So like this happens almost every fucking time I do this podcast. Someone goes, hey, there's something on LinkedIn that I don't talk about, and then they talk about it here. So talk about that Red Ventures stint, because I'm sure that was probably an inflection point, right?
Absolutely. I think that I was 26. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like I didn't really love what I was doing. I mean, I got to help people, but it didn't fill my cup. So I actually went on a vacation with my family to the Mediterranean, and I was in Italy, and I was talking to my dad, and I was like, I'm miserable. And he was like, then quit. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, you're young enough to do it. You don't have anything holding you down. As a parent now, I'm going to tell Mav, be like, make every mistake you possibly can from like 18 to 30, please.
Yeah. Just do it. And I think that's what got me here. Because if he hadn't pushed me to say, like, if you're that unhappy, make a change, try something different. And I think being that overachiever, you see that I saw it as a failure at first. Because I was like, if I'm quitting, like, what does that mean? And then that kind of led me on my journey, I think, to where I am now. I did 3 months at Red Ventures, realized that type of sale, I was selling AT&T and DirecTV.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I was like, what is Red Ventures?
They do like third-party marketing sales. So they have a bunch of different vendor companies that they work with, and then it's just inbound sales that you're doing.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was working 4 to 1 a.m. So like shift was all wonky, because then you'd be up till 4 or 5 a.m. because you get home, you're like, what's going on? So then I had a buddy who was like, come work at the restaurant for me. He owned a couple of restaurants. He was like, if you're that unhappy, like you can do just some onesie twosie things. So did that for about a year. I think kind of recovered from that burnout, but then was like, and no offense to restaurant workers, they work hard as fuck. Like I think everyone should do a stint in hospitality or retail.
Easy, at least 3 months. Go take that seasonal, like you will understand like how actually good people are, generally speaking, but the ones that are bad ruin your entire fucking day. Yeah. Oh my, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm glad you said that, because I've said that too. And it's just, go ahead.
And you learn so much at the restaurant. Like I had never served before. I worked at a bowling alley in high school. Like that's how I got into bowling.
Yeah, we're bowling, like you call them rink rats in hockey. We're bowling rats at, like, or alley rats.
Exactly,
right?
alley rats, chain smoking cigs at 16 outside with 65-year-old men, like.
Side note. I love, and I'm sure you do too, I love when I go to like an old timey bowling alley and it smells like stale beer and cigarettes. I'm like, I know I'm in a really, really awesome spot. And people might judge me for that, but I'm telling you, man, but you grew up bowling, right?
Yeah,
like I did too. Yeah. So it's like for me, 6 to 15 every Saturday. I'm in the kids league or whatever. Yeah. That's why I'm good, by the way. Like I didn't just magically pick this up. Like I was bowling for a while and I carried, I don't know, like I think by the time I was done, I was like a 175, 180. Because of course, a teenage boy being dumb, but then stopped for a while and then became an adult. I'm like, hey, hit your spares, dumbass. Like, and maybe your scores will go up. But
10 pins are like free throws. You have to make them.
Yeah, I know you have to make them, Catie, but I can't hit 700 because I keep missing my damn 10 pins because I'm not freaking. Anyway, I digress. Enough about the tangent. So
we'll go there.
Going to the restaurant sit. So from the restaurant, right? What were the things that, just to kind of tailor this a little bit, like what were some of the things that you learned being in that role that eventually you applied to? Oh, I can apply this into the conversations that eventually to where you're at. Like, what was it? Like, what were the tangible things from that?
Yeah, I think the tangible things from that, you're dealing with a lot. Anybody that works in a restaurant industry, whether front of house or back of house, you've got 67 balls in the air. I think really learning which are glass balls and which are, cushion and can drop.
Okay.
So learning that and prioritizing kind of what's important to me, but also what was important to the restaurant. So I think that was one of the biggest thing. And then just working with people that like prior to that, I had worked, except at the bowling alley, in like corporate settings. So being able to work with folks that are in the back of the house that, you know, they've been a line cook, and finding ways to build rapport and get to know them that wasn't in that like corporate mindset.
Sure.
So I think for me, just continuing to meet people and realizing that like not everybody is, you know, wants to be the best, wants to be the overachiever. Like
that's huge. Yeah.
Some people, they want to enjoy their life. They want to go to work, get paid, and then they leave it there. And I think that was the biggest thing is like, I want to enjoy my life. And that I think is what I got out of that, the restaurant job, is that I was like, okay, whatever I do next, I want to love it. And I want to, you know, I'm a Capricorn. I mentioned that because like, I like to work. I like my job. Like I take pride in that and kind of always have. And so that I literally then fell into recruiting. I sent a text to some girlfriends from college, sorority friends.
Hey, be part. I think the takeaway from that comment is join a group of like-minded individuals that can help you down the line, right? Like it's clear as day. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big proponent for Greek life, but I'm also like my youngest sister.
I'm a GDI, so I didn't join it. I dirty rushed for like a 2-week thing, and I was like, I already got my acapella group. We're already a bunch of dumb guys anyway. I don't need anything else. Like I'm good.
But that's an organization. So to me, it's like, to your point, join like-minded people that are going to help you get better.
Yeah.
And help you continue to grow. And so sent that text out. In 2 days, I had a text message from someone who's now one of my best friends saying, hey, Virginia said you were looking for a job. I've got one. Do you want to talk? I was like, all right, cool. Didn't even really know what it was. It was in staffing. So it was sales and recruiting. Yeah. Went in for the interview, and 2 weeks later, I had the job.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, it was a very fast turnaround. Was then back in the corporate world. I worked uptown. I had always wanted to work uptown and like go to lunch with friends that were working uptown.
It's been way too much on hard bread.
The amount of times I went to the sandwich club and spent $16 on a hard bread sandwich and a bag of chips, and I loved it.
I did too. But I started
my chopped salad. Here you go.
I mean, but you're in that environment. I know you're not stupid with money, right? So like, I know you're. I get it though. But I get the appeal, and what I think is, you know, and as we look at like the community of who listens to this, right? It's people who are trying to break into tech, trying to whatever. Sometimes the allure of that. I mean, and you keep me honest here, right? Sometimes I find the allure of that is sometimes more enticing than like the role you'll have itself, right? And sometimes they use that to kind of keep you there, because you said you want to work at a Big Four. I started at a Big Four, and eventually I kind of learned to hate it. In the sense of, well, let me refrain. I actually think, let me refrain. EY, if you're listening to this, you actually gave me the best start to my career I ever would have asked for, right? But I think because of the individuals and how big that organization is, sometimes individuals hijack some things and ruin kind of the culture and the dynamic. And I found very quickly, like I was not given the opportunities, right? But I was masked, and it was pushed down by, hey, we're sending you to, you know, all these places every week, and we're giving you like $100 a night to spend. So of course I'm boozing up and getting freaking loaded. I probably took 5 to 10 years off my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you did that in Uptown, but I bring all that up to say, as we go through that facetious hard bread comment, sometimes those things are just more enticing than like feeling fulfilled in your job, because you didn't stay there very long. It looks like you bounced after that.
4 years. I was there for about 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. So that actually was a pretty long time. Okay. I like it. My bad.
I think it was my longest stint. It was all under one company. I got to help launch a new business that was in the marketing space.
Oh, word.
So
Okay.
It had been really successful in like Seattle.
Oh, well, that'll keep you down. That'll keep you there. Yeah.
So I was like, I focused in supply chain and logistics initially, which was really cool. I think just learning the manufacturing industry, learning different industries was eye-opening. Like, there's, to your point, you think like, oh, tech or oh, HR, and then you get into the role and you're like, this is awful. Like, I'm supposed to do this for the next 60 years. Like,
and then, I was just going to say, and keep me honest here, right? It's funny that you bring it up, because I'm looking at your experience. You said you did the accounting thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then from that, you ended up, you know, obviously when you eventually got to recruiting tech and HR, it's like, oh, I hate it. But then when you go to like the manufacturing, really, I call it the logistics side of the house.
Yeah.
I would argue you're very objective, like I am in a sense, and things just kind of like make sense. And then it kind of becomes like a little bit no bullshit. Did you like that?
I loved it. I loved it. Like as a recruiter, I like to say I'm an actress. Like I learn what you do in the role, and then I talk about it like I know, like I know what I'm saying and what you do, but I can't integrate a system. I can't do a design of a
side note.
facility.
Thank you for admitting that. And thank you for that, because and I'm not, but like this is as someone who hasn't been a recruiter, as someone who can kind of read, and I'm intelligent, right? Like I'm a good read on people, right? Like I can tell within 2 minutes if I'm getting a call or an email from a recruiter and they don't know shit about what they're talking about. You just said, hey, I have the transparency. I know the type of people that work in this role. I know the type of things that you're going to do, but I'm not the person who can do it. But thank you. Thank you. +1 to you for that. Thank you. Anyway, continuing on that path. Sorry.
Good recruiters should hopefully, I mean, in recruiting, a lot of times gets a bad rep. You get folks that ghost, you get folks that it's a high turnover role, especially in the agency side. But folks who love it, like I love telling people, hey, I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very smart. Like I know
I'd agree.
I have a lot of engineers that when I talk to them, they try to test me. And those are my favorite because I'm like,
well, I'm doing that game. I'm like, tell me the reality here. Like, but I think you've probably also gotten to a point too that maybe I'm pushing you a little bit, and you can go back if you want. But like, I'm kind of pushing you to the higher you get in terms of level. I would say, really, in salary is an easy way to describe it. The more we're gonna be that way. Because we're like, hey, like if you're reaching out to me, like you reached out to me for a reason, you better actually know why you reached out and not some blanket whatever. Because if you're giving me some blanket whatever, I'm like, I don't even care. So was that
those
true?
Are probably my favorite ones because it's like, oh yeah, let me flex and show you that like I'm aware of what our brand does as an organization. I'm aware of what we do in the industry. Let's have a conversation. I would rather someone come in and be like, yeah, I've got 57 questions. I'm like, game on, let's go.
What I want to say. You just go. Let's go.
Yeah, you go. And I'm also very much like, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. And let me get an answer for you if I don't know it.
That's cool.
But just started talking to people. And I was working a lot in the agency role, but I was also making really good money. So
I mean, they're going to keep you around because I don't know what your kickback was. You don't have to tell us, but like, I'm sure you were probably doing a little bit better than others and getting some more conversion. So as a result, you're going to be like, well, I'm not managing a team, so I might as well just keep grinding. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I was rookie of the year or rookie of the month for 4 months.
Of course you were.
Rookie of the year by like 10K. I was so mad.
Yeah. So on the SpongeBob wall where he was employee of the month all the time, you had the one time where it was Squidward and you were pissed. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
That had all the other 4, and it was like, nope, not this one. I was like, cool. But just talking to people, like I'll have candidates call me that I talked to in 2017.
That's awesome. Like, that's really cool.
Do you have something? Or hey, you placed me at X. I'm looking for a new job. And so that's been really fun. I've been with Carolina Handling almost 3 years now to have old candidates reach out and be like, I loved working with you. Like, I really enjoyed what we did. Like, can you help me again? And now it's tough because I work for one company, but I keep my network of people that still work in agency. And I'm like, hey, I can't help, but I know somebody who can or hopefully can. And that's, I think, where I get a lot of joy now in my current role is I love my company, but I just want to help people enjoy what they do. Like, life is too short to be miserable in what we're doing every single day.
Like I agree with you. And it's like, I think this is a good bow, and I think we should just end on it because this was just a fantastic, easy, quick conversation. But your summary is really, you found your strength was meeting people where they were at. You found your strength was being like, you're really empathetic, right? And I would say, hey, if you're going to be in anything customer facing, empathy is going to be your number one goal because you're going to deal with a lot of dumbasses. Like, it's going to happen, right? Or it's people who are, I think the reality of that comment is people who are not nearly as empathetic as you. So, I think your story can be summarized as, like I said, meeting where they're at, being empathetic, and then finding a role that allows you to express yourself, like with bowling. And I know that's not the only thing you do, right? But giving you that flexibility to go and do those things, go meet people, but then I can bring that back into the professional world. No, I mean,
yeah. I love helping people realize that, like, I don't want to climb the corporate ladder. I don't want to be a people manager. I all the time I'm like, what do you like to do? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, in your day to day, some people love a spreadsheet. They're an Excel guru and they're jamming and they love that.
They should go be a business analyst anywhere.
Exactly. So just asking people those type of questions where they're like, well, do you want to know my strengths and weaknesses? Not really. Like, I mean,
that's lame. It's also probably, it's probably also like coached as hell. Like, unless they're leading with like a weakness, right? And be like, hey, I struggle with this, but for the, you know, but like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So just finding folks that enjoy what they do and talking to those people. Anytime I talk to like a new grad, I love working. I still advise my sorority. So I love working with new grads. Of
course you do. Love that.
Folks that awesome. It's, well, I advise their recruitment. So it lines up. But like maybe if there's a job you like, reach out to somebody and say, hey, can we do like a coffee chat? Can we do a virtual coffee chat? I would love to know what a business analyst even does. I would love to know what a principal solution engineer does and have those open conversations. Because to your point, most people want to help other people and they want to be able to say like, hey, yeah, I would love to help someone learn more about what this is. And I think through those conversations, you can realize, like, I've talked to a lot of sales guys who are coming from SaaS and, you know, with the, like layoffs and things, it's been a tough year for folks.
Oh my God. Watching all of like my peers just in the tech space in general struggle. It's been brutal, but I'm also like, well, business is business and they made some shitty decisions from a hiring perspective before. So you were just a part of that. So I like to always try to remind people it's not you, it's the company decision. Yeah.
But to that, if you're in SaaS sales or you're in that, be open to other industries. Cause I've found that folks coming from SaaS or tech sales, you're very knowledgeable.
Dude,
especially in our industry.
We're cut above. We really are. Yeah.
It's so technical where like a lot of my sales reps or folks you talk to historically in material handling are they're not as technical. And now that you get into the automation space, you have to understand, like, we have people that are writing software code for conveyors. Like that's a tech into it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for those folks in the tech space. Maybe in industries they never even thought of.
Sure. Yeah. I always suggest the same. Like people are like, oh, I want to be a sales engineer. I want to be a sales rep. I'm like, go learn the software. They're like, what? I'm like, go learn the software. Because guess what? I don't do. I don't sell anymore. Right. Yeah. I know I'm in a selling capacity and I know I'm generating revenue for the organization. Sure. But here's what I'm saying. You're saying I have this point-to-point problem, right? And I need you to show me how your technology solves it. And I go, okay, cool. Do you want to see how it's built? What? Yeah, I can show you how it's built. You want me to record that too? Like, that is the type of stuff you're talking about, though. But I could never do that if I wasn't actually technical enough to understand it, right? So I totally understand what you're saying.
Well, and to plug my own job, I am hiring a sales engineer out of Atlanta. So it is similar. Like, it's not a hunting sales role. It's very much that like in between technical, very technical sales.
True solutions engineering. Yeah, true solutions engineering. Yeah, there's going to be, here's the problem. Yeah, let's actually architect this out.
Let me help you solve it. So yeah, would love to chat with anyone. I think SaaS is a great background, or just that technical sales in general. It's been a tough role to find folks just in that kind of niche space. So wanted to plug that.
As you should. I mean, if I wasn't just getting hired by one of the best organizations on the planet, I would have been like, well, why the hell didn't we do that? But I'm good now.
I tried to recruit you, KJ. You said
I know you did. You did. I remember literally I lost my job and I was just like, I didn't really tell anyone. And then they're like, oh, well, what's going on? I'm like, oh, well, I'm already interviewing with Salesforce. And I'm probably going to get You're like, oh, shit. Okay.
I was like, damn it.
Anyway, enough about that. Thank you so much for the chat. If people wanted to connect with you on LinkedIn, is that cool? If people
Please, absolutely.
Yep. So the name right here, Catie Beth Bishop, if you literally search that in Carolina Handling, she will pop up. Like I said, if you are in Charlotte, you want to come watch us bowl on Wednesdays. You can't bowl. I mean, unless there's a sub spot open, which I'm sure you could, but you probably.
I have a sub spot open tonight. If anybody,
I'm going to need a sub spot. Maybe this is a catch crap. I might need a sub spot next season because my friend Kristen, you know Kristen, right? She's been out forever because she's IBM slaving away at doing a bunch of enablement stuff, but she misses on Wednesdays. Anyway, I digress. Thank you very much for the conversation, Catie. It's always appreciated. We will obviously chat tonight. And with that, this was KJ's Corner. Hopefully you learned something. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about being empathetic and just being a decent human and figuring it out and going from there. Otherwise, I'll leave you to it, Catie. Thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to leave the people listening to with? People listening?
No, I think
with?
Thank you for your time. I mean, I love conversations like these. And the only thing I'd say, don't be afraid to reach out and chat with someone. I know it can be uncomfortable, especially for those folks who are a little more introverted, but I go with the mindset that people have positive intentions. And then if they show you they don't, you move on to the next.
Peace. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the parting words, kid. This has been Catie. I am KJ with KJ's Corner under the I'm Breaking Into Tech umbrella, and we'll see y'all next time. Cheers, guys.